Hello and welcome back. This is episode 4. In this episode we're going to create and attach storage for the Oracle gridhome and database home before cloning. Remember, if you find these useful, please like and subscribe, and let's get busy. Okay, so here's our DB source, and we're going to go into our settings. We're going to go right down to the storage tab. And over here on our controller, we're going to hit plus. We're going to create. We're going to add gridhome. And we're actually going to make this one 31 gig. Fix size. Create. And again, depending on the speed of your storage, we'll determine how long it takes to create these files. So once that's done, we can just choose select because it's already highlighted, or choose. So we choose, and there's our, well, we spelled it wrong, but it's still okay. So let's go ahead and do our dbhome. Try not to typo this one. Underscore dbhome. And this one we're going to make as actually 36 gig. Now when we use them on the system, we're going to use 30 gig and 35 gig respectively. I like to leave a little bit extra just for emergencies. And trying to do exactly 30 gig or trying to do exactly 35 gig will actually come up one extent short because we don't start our partitions until cylinder 2048, or sector 2048, excuse me. And we do that for alignment purposes. Even though we're using memory, there's a whole detailed discussion out there on the internet if you happen to read about it. About alignment and storage alignment. In any case, so here we are, we've got our 31 gig and our 36 gig. So we're going to say OK, and we're going to start up our VM. Minimize that. And again, oftentimes you see this while it's trying to configure and map off the memory for your VM. So don't be surprised depending on the speed of your memory. Although I have fast storage, I have, I'd say, above average CPUs, but not the fastest. And my memory isn't the fastest, but because it's a server motherboard, I had to get ECC memory. So it was probably 3 times more expensive than a typical system. In any case, let's see where we're at here. And we're starting up. And we can see our new devices came in as D and E, which is fine. And we're actually going to go through this relatively quickly. Again, I will be doing this in a putty session, so I can cut and paste because that is my preferred manner in which to enter commands. It's quicker, and you don't have to see me fat finger the keyboard. Okay, so here's my putty session. Let's go ahead and make the screen a little bigger, it won't hurt. And log in as root. And password is R, fdisk -L. And here we see our dev E and our dev D. Both came in a little bit oversized, but that's okay. Eventually it'll be undersized. So so we're going to do both of these in order. So let's do the D-disk first. We're going to say a new partition, primary, partition 1. We're going to accept the default for that first sector, accept the size. We're going to change the type. We can list all codes, but it's type 8E, as you'll see. 8E is Linux LVM, so that's what we're going to set it to. So 8E, E, print, write, and we'll do the same thing with E. New, primary, 1, default, type, 8E, print, write. Okay, so now they've been fully partitioned. So our next step is to let the system know that we're going to use these as physical volumes in volume groups. So we'll hand it those partitions, pvcreate and the partition, pvcreate and the partition. So those are fabulous. Next, we're going to do volume groups, new volume groups. So I'm just going to use the source name, the host name, a 2 and a 3. So vgcreate db source 02 and gave it that partition, vgcreate db source 03 and gave it the E partition. Okay, now we're going to look at our volume groups itself that we have before we actually do this. Okay, so we can see source 03 is there, and we can see source 02 is here, and of course this is our root file system. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is an lvcreate. We're going to give it a name of gridhome and use source 02. And then we'll go with lvcreate and we'll create dbhome1 using source 03. Now again, you'll notice I did them 1 gigabyte smaller, or 2 gigabytes smaller. So there's a little bit of room to be able to extend these guys if I need to. If for some reason I run into a little bit of a crunch. So now we'll display both of those using the full path. So lvdisplay gridhome, and we can see we're all golden, 29 gig, and dbhome, source 03 dbhome, we can see that, and we're all golden there. So next thing we want to do is create file systems on there. Now this command will by default, I believe, you create ext4 file systems, which is fine for our purpose. And again, relatively quickly. And again, we'll do the same with the dbhome one, and relatively quickly. Okay, next thing we're going to do is create our mount points directories. So we're going to do a U01 grid, a U01 app Oracle, and we're going to change the ownership of everything to Oracle oinstall from U01. Okay. The next thing to do is to mount our file systems. So let's go ahead and mount them. So we're going to mount source 02 to UO grid. Okay, and we can verify df-h. We can see our UO1 grid is now mounted, and our UO1 app Oracle is mounted. The final step is we're going to add these two entries, these two to the fstab, so it comes up when we reboot. Let's see, fstab, and I like it a little bit neater than that, but that's okay. Okay, so our files system should be fully configured and mounted. We're going to do a shutdown-R now and verify when it comes up that the file system's auto-mounted as we expected. So we're already rebooting. And here we are. And we're almost there. And here we are. So we're all set. Now we can restart our putty session. Log in as root, password, df-h. Oh, our file systems did not mount. Oh, I know why. I should have changed these to ext4. So let's try again. Okay, we're done with our reboot now, so let's try this one more time. Restart session, root, r, df-h, and now we have our file systems mounted. We can see UO1 app Oracle, 32 gig free, and UO1 grid, 28 gig free. So last thing to do is shut down and take a snapshot, noting the changes that were made. Again, I'll leave you to that. Shutdown-H now. Showed you how to take a snapshot by now, so I think you'll be okay. Thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in for the next episode, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks, and have a great day.